Okay. All right, good morning, 6:30, Friday, May 20th for another Friday safety meeting, Friday safety focus of the week. This week's code of conduct is to speak and act supportly of ECI as a company and of our workers. Anything to add to that, Ben?
Yeah, supportively. Good word, support. One other way to look at the word support would be maybe provide encouragement. And all that goes hand in hand with being positive, getting behind our code of conduct and our values and our standards. And so when I like that code item a lot because I think a lot of our people here use that on a daily basis to provide encouragement to others. Encouragement to advocate for yourself, to advocate for the company, and do the right thing.
Well said. Safety news this week, another 7 days without a recordable. Excellent job this week. Again, as our hazards increase with more and more projects starting and moving around to all different projects. Continue with our best practices, starting each day with a nice briefing, JHA briefing. What's the plan of action? What are our hazards and how we're going to control those? You know, let's continue with those exercises. If you need any special assistance on a hazard, please contact myself. I'll come right out, or hopefully I can answer your question by phone. But if not, I'll come out and see what the potential hazard is. Or feel free to utilize Teams and video call me, and you can actually show me the hazard or show me what you're working with, and we might be able to do that remotely as well. So, you know, utilize all of our means and methods to try to operate safely out there in the field. This week, I wanted to highlight silica awareness. We had a meeting with Rich Wabi at the AGC, and this is becoming the most frequent cited standard in Vermont. The compliance officials here in the state are really starting to crack down on silica. So we do a pretty good job again, but I wanted to kind of raise the bar saying, let's not get cited for not controlling dust. It is important because there is roughly now about 3,600 new silicosis cases each year in the United States. It is a respiratory disease. It's nothing fun that you want to deal with long term. This is a chronic exposure. It takes a long time. It's very much similar to smoking, but breathing crystalline silica for prolonged periods of time is not healthy. So we need to do our best to try to control the dust. And the way we do that is follow our table 1. And for us, it's utilizing an integrated water system anytime we're doing circular cutting, or there's a dustless collective system, which is our Hilti-Vacs, for any time we're doweling concrete or drilling into it, chipping it, try to either water or vac it up with a vacuum. The vacuum is located in Tall Nelson's office. We have about 4 of them now, and then a lot of our integrated water systems are all available in the tool crib. If you're looking for any shrouds or hollow drill bits, those are also located in the tool crib. For any alternative methods that's not on the table, and I'm going to show everybody where table 1's located here in a second, we do have two dust monitors that we can collect and send out to a lab to see how we're doing with those environments. Again, the standard is 50 milligrams per meter cubed for an 8-hour day. So we've done it for like our grout mixing plants, and we're under the threshold there. But again, there's any unique situations that we're unsure about how to control dust, please contact me so we can come up with a good best practice to make sure that we're in compliance with the standard, but also most importantly, we're not exposing our workers to a potential health hazard. So our Silica program is located in our Teams Foreman channel under Files and Library. You'll see it there. So, you know, when you're moving through the channel, I'll try to quickly share that to show everybody where it is. Do a quick little exercise here.
Thank you,
So
Matt.
On your Teams Foreman's channel, you click here, you can click General, you hit Files, and then library. And then you can see all of our quote unquote kind of program manuals that VOSHA loves to have employers to have. And here's our Silica program right here. You click it, you'll be able to see, here's our table, a little brief description of how we want to operate and best practices, and here's our table. So handheld power saws, this is majority what we do out here. Use this saw equipped with integrated water delivery system that continuously feeds water to the blade. If we operate and maintain the tool according to the manufacturer's instructions to minimize dust, when used outdoors, less than 4 hours, we do not need any respiratory protection. If it's more than 4 hours, that's when we start having to using the APF, which is your assigned protective fracture, which is 10 is just a dust mask. Once you get into the 25, that's a half face respirator. 50 is a full face respirator, but we don't really get into those scenarios all that frequently. So if there's any more questions on Silica, please contact me after the meeting. And Ken, if there's anything to add, feel free to jump in. If not, you can take control.
It all sounds good. Are we likely to be asked about this program and to show the program if there's an OSHA compliance officer that stops by?
I would say if they had a question on Silica, they would ask if ECI had a program.
So and would they ask our field superintendent to show them that, or would that be something they would allow, some respond back at a later moment anyway?
Best practice would be to nip it in the butt right away. Yeah. You give them time to think, they'll add stuff, and then we'll have to fight to get it removed.
So Matt, I think it's good when you're out visiting with the guys. Sometimes is just help them make sure they know how to navigate to this section of Teams on their tablets. And I think I actually have pretty good luck on my phone with Teams sometimes to look stuff up in this channel. So maybe a little bit of help to the guys when you're out there. Say, hey, let's navigate. Hey, show me how you can navigate to the Teams channel so I can make sure that you can do it. Because they may not ask you.
Okay.
Good idea. All right, I'll take over the screen to start with here. And then I'll turn it over to Mark, who will do the presentation on the project of the week. So no new announcements, just a reminder again that we're changing over to Muskoma Bank like pretty soon. And we're still in the healthcare premium holiday. So great news there. Allows everybody on the program to have a little extra, quite a bit of extra cash.
That's 9 weeks. Or what is, how many weeks is it this year, Ken?
What did I say there? 12 weeks. No, it started on April 8th.
Yep.
So we're going to be well into June.
So that's awesome. With no healthcare premiums taken out of your check, 12 weeks. Thank you.
Yep. So for new employees, we have Ryan Manzo is coming back. Welcome, Ryan. Mike Renato, and Mike has finished college and he's back. So glad to see Mike back here. And then Devin Bartlett, I believe he's 100% new ECI guy. So if you see any of these gentlemen around, just give them the hi and welcome them back and say hi to Devin and get Devin introduced to your co-workers. I have a link to the primary care wellness program. And then for this week, for the financial wellness, we're talking about the 401k plan again and the cybersecurity precautions. As we know, cybersecurity is an ongoing concern in today's world, and the following document link I put in here is from our plan advisor, Morgan Stanley, and it contains just general recommendations. It's a pretty easy little PowerPoint type of thing to look at, so I encourage you to open that up. There are no 401k plan specific recommendations in these recommendations, except to follow the good cybersecurity practices. The biggest concern for the 401k, as with all other accounts, protect yourself from someone else using your personal information to falsify documents or make online requests to steal from your accounts. So I know we're all aware of it, but it's just, we have to all stay diligent and not give out our personal information, not click those attachments to an email, even if it sounds legit. Call first if you get something like that, especially if it's your 401k. But the good news is that our 401k is very secure from cybersecurity compared to our regular bank accounts and the credit cards. Since the withdrawals are highly scrutinized through a formal administrative process, they're very infrequent, obviously, which allows for greater attention and scrutiny. And they're not done directly by the participants in an online transaction. So that means it's kind of limited to what can happen there. And the participants are also protected by insurances against cybersecurity and other negligent acts by ECI, Morgan Stanley, and Newport Group. So my point here is that you can feel comfortable that there certainly are risks, there always are, but your 401k plan is one of the most robust protections for the participant of any kind of investment. And more information can be obtained from the accounting department.
Hey, Ken, can I add
Yes.
one thing? One thing to remember on all that is, like on all my banking stuff, I always turn on the 2-factor authentication. So when
Right.
you're logging into your bank, I just choose to get the text every time with a code.
Yep.
It's just, I think it's good practice.
Yeah, it's good practice. Again, like on the 401k stuff, even if you use Newport Group to look at your account, control your account by changing funds around, you cannot withdraw from your account.
Right.
On Newport Group. So weather outlook, as we mentioned earlier, we got a little heat wave coming starting today. Really, it won't be too severe today. It'll be high near 80, but tomorrow it gets up near 88 and Sunday. And if there's any crews working tomorrow, there will be a high heat index towards the afternoon. So Matt will send out a little Teams reminder, some kind of reminder that any crews working tomorrow would be allowed to wear shorts if their project allows, and a reminder to take other measures to protect yourself from heat stresses. COVID policies are attached again, no changes there. And I'm going to turn it over to Mark Peliquin. Mark, do you want to take over the screen?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, I was having some challenges. I got my cell phone and my computer out.
Well, I can scroll the screen if you want.
Yeah, maybe that's better again, because the computer came on, but for some reason my camera and mic weren't working.
Okay, all right.
So we got 2 projects here. Actually, there's 3 of them going on that are all IDIQs. Berrytown, which is bridge number 9 on Route 302 in Barry. Wolcott, Bridge 55 on Route 15. And then we also have another one in New Haven that we'll talk about in subsequent meetings. These are all what the state calls IDIQ projects. They're an indefinite delivery and indefinite quantity. It's a program the state started a few years ago that has federal funds in it, has some federal requirements. Most of you that worked on them have seen they have Davis-Bacon rates out there. It's because there's federal money involved. They're great little jobs. Typically, we've done a lot of them. Previously, when I worked at Hutchins, we did a lot of these projects. They don't come under the same scrutiny that regular AOT jobs do, and they're quick hitters. I call them. You get in, you get out. As I said, New Haven we'll talk about more in future meetings, but that one turned into a little bit more than get in and get out. These 2 projects were basically to mill off the pavement, do some deck repairs, throw a new membrane on it, and then repave them. You cold plane the approaches, and then basically we put a new asphaltic plug joint on them and line stripe them. Barry is, I believe, Brad finished yesterday. So that one's complete. And Wolcott, I believe he's pouring concrete today. So on the second phase, so the first phase is done. Dan Borbeau also got up there in Wolcott and got that one started and did the first phase. And then with the additional work in New Haven, he's kind of been down there with Alec, champion that one. And Brad stepped in and is going to finish up Wolcott for us. So this basically, this one here, I believe, is very similar to Wolcott, except Wolcott's a little bit smaller bridge. Basically, you can see we've got the bridge itself in the 72-foot span, and then 50-foot approach on either end. The approach work is just milling and paving. And then the bridge work itself, as I said, was what I call dental work, basically go in and chip out the bad concrete, typically down to the first mat of rebar, and then pour it back. And Wolcott was the pretty much the same exact design as Barry.
All right, I'm messing up here. I just wanted to get the section in for, this is the first bridge here.
Yep, Barry was a steel beam construction. Wolcott actually was concrete T-beams. And what we found in Wolcott actually was a project had come through after the original construction of the bridge and had redone the outside T-beams. So those were in a lot better shape than the center. Basically, the repair work was along the center of the bridge on both sides, because that's the original construction. The concrete had deteriorated more there. Both jobs ended up with a little bit of what they call class 3 repair, which is where you go right through the deck. And we had to do full depth reconstruction in those few spots. Barry had a little bit in phase 1. I don't even believe we had any in phase 2, and Wolcott was just the opposite. We didn't have any in phase 1 and had a little bit in phase 2. This one is a picture of, I believe that's Dale in the excavator pulling the pavement off. You can mill it, you can pull it off with an excavator. This one's Barry specifically. Brad ended up pulling it off with an excavator on both sides just because of scheduling with a coal planer. It worked out better just to go and pull it off with the excavator. Wolcott, we actually milled, and probably here's a picture of the milling. You can't see it here, but there was about 7 inches of asphalt on the deck in Wolcott. And
wow.
We ended up actually Jim had to go back and coal plane the tapers out further because they didn't want to put 7 inches of hot mix back on that deck when we were done and put that sort of dead load on an old bridge. So Daryl and company went back, and on one end we extended the milling an additional 50 feet, and on the other end it was an additional 150 feet.
Oh.
Which resulted in a change order, of course. We work with Jeremy Salvatore. I know some of you have been out there with him from the state, and he's been pretty decent to deal with, very fair. You can see here they've marked the red paint represents the spots where they need to be chipped out, and they do this by what they call sounding. Basically, depending on who does it, some drag chains on the deck, some will take a metal bar and drop it, and you can hear the difference between a ping and a thud. You can see this one specifically is Wolcott. You can see obviously the repair, as I said, we're down the center of the bridge, not so much on the outside edge.
Interesting.
This one again is Barry. This one had a more spots to it. You can see obviously they were chipping out the concrete. Both projects exceeded, I believe Barry had 30 square yard quantity for repair, and Wolcott had 15 square yards, and both projects exceeded the contract quantity just doing phase one.
Wow. A lot of work.
Yeah. And you can see this is where they've tied back in. You can see the spot, that spot where the hole is through the deck. That's the class 3. The class 2 basically goes to the second mat of rebar. Class 1 goes to the first mat of rebar. In this case, that you can see they spliced in some on the bottom side. Class 3 is when you go completely through the deck. Class 1 and 2 are by the square yard, and when you class 3, the payment method is by the cubic yard specifically.
Kind of scary looking at a bridge with a hole in it.
Yeah,
It's all better now, or will be
good.
soon. Here they're pouring in the patches. You can see the Carroll truck in the background there. Sometimes, depending on quantity, we will hand mix these. In this case, with this sort of quantity, it made sense to get ready mix concrete out there and do the repairs. Specifically, we typically pour what the state calls class AA concrete. And AA represents the size of the aggregate. Like a class A would be a 4,000 PSI, 3/4 inch max size concrete. Class AA drops it down to 3/8 stone. Basically, the reason you might do that for repairs is you're trying to get the material into smaller areas. So you typically will go to the smaller stone. They're finishing the patches, and you can see the concrete blankets.
Wow.
As Ken said earlier, we're getting into some hotter temperatures, so we wouldn't have to necessarily insulate blanket over these. If we're doing like Brad's pour today, he probably won't be putting insulated blankets. He's probably going to put some burlap and plastic over it. And these go into a cure period. Typically concrete in Vermont is a 7-day cure unless you're superstructure, which is a 10-day cure. Jeremy's been depending on breaks. We take cylinders to make sure we break at the required strength. Typically, if we get strength in 4 days because of the repair nature, he's been letting us continue with the work.
Yeah, a new deck would be entirely different.
Yes. New deck, you'd go to the superstructure, which it would be 10 days cure in Vermont. Other states are 7 days, but Vermont specifically is 10 days. This is the membrane work performed by NICOM. Basically, you can see they put down I believe a primer. Well, they clean the deck, give it a light shot blast to take off any latency. We do a little bit of cleaning before they show up, but they do a quick once over, and then basically put down a primer and roll out this membrane material and tack it down in good shape.
The pavers there ready to go once they're done.
Yeah, Jim's yelling at him, get out of there, get out of the way.
Yeah.
This is the asphaltic plug joint, again, also by NICOM. Some of you will remember the membrane actually used to be AD Rossi. They kept that name for a while. They've actually gotten rid of it here recently because NICOM was purchased by a bigger company called Venture out of southern New Hampshire. They are going to keep the NICOM name, but the AD Rossi name has gone away. So basically the same company, same ownership. And the NICOM outfit also does the asphaltic plug joints. They basically just dig it out, throw some backer rod into the joint itself, and then put down, they have come out with kettles, heat up the material and pour it in here. It's an asphaltic plug joint. You can see they're putting some cover material. Basically that cover material makes it so it's not tacky, and when you track over it with cars, it doesn't pick it up.
And then this is the final wear surface on either side.
Yep. Yeah, you don't do the asphaltic plug joint till after you pave. And
Right.
so Barry, because we finished the other side, Nikon did the joint. Can't remember. I think it was Tuesday this week. And Wolcott, after we're done today, they will Jim will pave it sometime next week, hopefully when the cure is up, and we can get Nikon in there to do the other section of membrane. And then the following week, the week after Labor Day, Nikon will come back and do the joints, and then we
Memorial Day, you mean?
Yep. Yeah, Memorial Day. Yep.
We haven't lost a whole summer yet, Mark.
Ooh,
There's Daryl and company getting it, turning it black. For us, this is phase 2. Kind of hard to tell, but phase 1 is already done on the right there. This was a change order that was added to us in Wolcott, this last photo. And that one, basically what happened, you can see the stones stacked up on the right.
The wing walls. Huh?
Yeah, Jeremy thought that it was it wasn't Irene. It was one of the subsequent storms took out the wing wall that used to be there, and they came back and stacked up stone. And you can see where this is formed. Basically what happened there was exposed concrete where it had broken off. The wing wall had broken off, and there was no remnants of the wing wall at all. I think it probably somewhere down the Winooski somewhere. And we basically we're obviously not pouring back the wing wall. We just doweled in some pieces and I'm going to pour this corner because it was all exposed aggregate and was going to continue to break off.
Yep.
So just a tiny little repair there to encapsulate that end of the abutment, essentially. Again, that was a change order. That wasn't part of the original design. The only other design change that's coming on this one is you can't see them, but up near the top of the photo, these guardrail posts. Well, you can kind of see it in the one directly under I'm not sure who's up top there, if that's Brad, but you can see where the concrete's gone underneath the guardrail post.
Yep.
So Brad's going to go back in and basically retouch up underneath all those posts. Some of them were worse than others, but you can see where the concrete's flaked off. So that also is going to be a little change order.
Yeah, I think that's our last photo, Mark.
Yep.
And thanks, Brad, for the photos. This was a really complete sequence between the two bridges to give pretty much every step of the job.
Yeah.
Documented in an image. That was pretty cool. And let's see, I'll go to the archive photo. This is Gente's Road in Colchester.
Oh, yeah.
Square over the railroad, over the NECR, and that's 2012. Paving the deck. That's just a beam, a slab beam type of deck and superstructure.
Looks so thin.
Yeah, it does look kind of skinny.
Wasn't it a big repair of those retaining walls? I think?
Yeah,
Sort of
yep,
rehab.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of the repair on this job was about these retaining walls, and we did, pretty much refacing of the walls, and actually, I think
10
the
years
white.
ago. Wow.
Yeah, they were painted or stained white after for some reason, some kind of sealer, painter, stain type thing on the abutments. So.
I wonder who the two people down below are. Look.
That was one of Doug Cohn's last jobs.
Oh.
Doug and Sully was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. All right. Well, I'll turn it back over to you, Matt. Everybody be safe out there. Watch out for the heat and make sure we are all able to get to those silica dust programs and other programs on Teams. Okay.
Thanks, Ken. I've already
All right.
received a lot of text messages and emails about today's attendance. So keep up the good work. Just letting us know who's attending it with you out there. So we appreciate it. let's stay hydrated today as it's going to warm up. Let's work safe. Let's finish this week out strong.
Good. All right. Thanks, and thanks, Mark.
Thanks, guys.
Have a safe day.
Yep.